Today, we're taking a look at these, the brand new Wahoo Speedplay pedals, and I can reveal there will be a power meter version of these coming later in the summer. So really exciting news for those of us like myself who have been waiting for a Speedplay power meter pedal for years and years. So there's one finally coming. No details at the time of making this video. They will be called the Powrlink Zero. The price, I'm told, will be competitive with other power meter pedals in the market at the moment, so you can take a guess at what it might cost. They'll be dual-sided, ANTS Plus, Bluetooth, all the usual technology you expect from a power meter product. But full details announced in the summer. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you want to see that, and we'll have details on them then. Until then though, I'm going to take a good look at these new pedals and talk around why Wahoo has bought Speedplay and what they've done with the pedals since they bought them in 2019, and also setting them up on some shoes and go for a ride. And in my next video, in about 4 weeks time, once I've got lots of miles logged on these new pedals, I'll give you a first ride sort of review on them. But for now, let's dive in and take a closer look. So you might remember Wahoo bought Speedplay back in 2019. Speedplay itself founded in 1989, so a long running company with quite a good reputation, favoured by pros and bike fitters because they offer lots of adjustment, 3-axis adjustment and huge float compared to Shimano look and time pedals. So at first glance it might appear a simple rebranding. They bought a company and then stuck Wahoo on the box and on the pedals and job done. But clearly a lot more than that. The packaging, the pedals themselves, totally revamped, reinvented basically, so lots of changes to get into. Firstly, that's the old packaging, that's new packaging, so much more premium iPhone style case. They look really good. These, by the way, are the comp, the cheapest of the 4 versions available. So chromoly axle, then stainless steel, titanium, and then the aero at the top. So let's open them up and have a look. And there are the pedals. So if you're familiar with Speedplay, you'll know what they're all about. If you're not, they're very different to Shimano look and time pedals, with what many people refer to as a lollipop design for obvious reasons. So those are the pedals. Got Wahoo stamped on the top. And it's worth having a comparison with the old pedals. So these are the old pedals, or the current pedals before Wahoo took them over. And open them up. That's how they used to be presented. And if I take the pedals out, you can see the clear difference. So yes, they look the same, but quite a few differences on the outside and on the inside. And we'll start with what you can't see inside. So we have a needle bearing inside with 3 seals either side of the bearing and a brand new German source grease that is, in Wahoo's testing, claimed to be far better in terms of reliability and durability than the old Speedplay pedals. So where the old pedals needed quite regular servicing and re-greasing, Wahoo is claiming that these need almost no maintenance at all. You can take them apart like you could with the old pedals, but they're not really intended to be taken apart. So that'd be really interesting to find out if they do offer that long-term reliability that you don't have to service them at home. So I can't wait to find out if they're more reliable than the old pedals. And I do hope they are, because that's the one downside with the old pedals in my mind. Fantastic in all other areas of performance, but let down by the bearing life. So big change there. You can't see it, but yeah, hopefully that would be a good long-term improvement. And then on the outside, quite a clear difference with the amount of metal being increased around the edge of the pedal body. And that is designed to improve the durability of the plastic body on these, which can wear out over time. So increasing that metal just improves the durability and should also improve clip-in engagement as well. So it should be an easier pedal to get into and out of. So quite a fundamental change there. And I think they also look better as well. As I mentioned earlier, they come in 4 price points. These, the chromoly, are the cheapest and the heaviest. I'll put them on the scales and show what they weigh. There's also a stainless steel axle, a titanium axle if you're weight weenie and you've got deep pockets, and there's also an aero version at the top. So the aero version have the same aero dimple cleats as these across the whole range in fact, but they also have an aero body on the pedal itself, so even more aero. And according to their claims, they save 22 seconds over 40 kilometers compared to a Look Keo pedal system. So quite a marginal gain there. So those are new pedals, and that's where most of the changes are in the pedals compared to the old system. We also have the cleats, the other half of the system. If I remove the packaging, you can see inside we have the same familiar cleats, which you might recognize if you're a Speedplay person. And there they are. These pedals and these cleats are backwards compatible with the old system. So if you have the old pedals of the old cleats and you want to upgrade, you can do that with no problems at all. So that's really nice to hear. The cleats come in two versions of tension, high and low, and there's about a 50% difference in the release tension required to disengage from the pedal. Which you choose comes down to personal preference. I guess the pros will use the high tension, and beginners or newbies to Speedplay might prefer the low tension, but that's not a hard and fast rule at all. So dimpled cleats like the old ones, they're now no longer yellow, they're just grey. Before I set the cleats up on the shoes and show you that process, a quick word on the instructions, which the company have worked really hard on making it simpler and easier to set the cleats up. Because it's quite funny, Speedplay cleats are really easy, but also really complex to set up. Their big advantage over other systems is a 3-axis independent adjustment. So you've got float, got side-to-side or lateral adjustment, and then fore and aft. But the beauty of Speedplay, where other 3-bolt cleats, you have to set the angle up on the shoe precisely to make the best of the float from that pedal system. With Speedplay, you don't worry about that. You set them up straight and you adjust the float independently, do that side-to-side, and then the fore and aft, and away you go. But it wasn't helped by Speedplay's previous instructions in the box, which consisted of loads of paperwork. And look at that, acres of it. And a really thick book. So from that, blimey, to that. That is a massive improvement as somebody who has used Speedplay pedals in the past. So much easier to get your head around. So yeah, good work, Wahoo. That should make anyone who's new to Speedplay much more comfortable in setting them up in the first place. So why don't we set them up on the shoes and then I'll go for a ride and see how they perform. So I'm going to set these up on my City shoes here, very nice City Shot 2 shoes with a 3-bolt interface on the bottom, and use this adapter. If you have a 4-bolt shoe sole, you don't need that adapter, so you can skip this step. But the important step is to make sure that the curve perfectly fits the cleat, and there's a bit of a gap there. So you have these special adapters which come in different shapes and sizes, and you take the one you need, pop that on the bottom like that, and that just makes sure it sits flush with the cleat, as you can see that. With the base plate, you set the fore and aft of your cleat position. You have a center line which you can line up with the ball of your foot. I've used personal preference or use bike fitting information to make sure you get these set up where you need. I'm just doing it for demonstration purposes. So I'll set them up about there for now. So that is the base plate fitted. Now to fit the cleat, and I'll remove the plastic dimple cover and attach the cleat mechanism itself and put that on afterwards. So they're left and right, they clearly say on the cleat, left and right. So left shoe, yes it is. And that goes on place there, and you use these tiny, tiny little screws. And with the cleat mechanism fixed to the base plate, but the bolt's not done up tight, you can adjust a lateral adjustment there, as I mentioned earlier. So set up where you want, then do the bolts up. And you can also, at this point, set up how much float you have. So you have a maximum of 15 degrees of float, but you can, by moving these screws in, lock it out totally to 0 degrees if you want. My advice is to start where they are in the default setting, see how you get on, and if you need to dial in the float, you can do that with a small Allen key. Once you've got that dialed in, you then fit your aero cover, which just snaps into place. And hey presto, ready to ride. I'll replicate that process on the other shoe, and after this video, I'll go for a ride and see how they perform. And in a few weeks' time, I'll give you my first ride review impressions on how these have performed, give you an update. So make sure you subscribe to my channel if you want to see that. So there we go then, brand new Wahoo Speedplay pedals to be joined later in the summer by a Power Meter version. Can't wait to see those. But for now, 4 levels of pedals, totally revamped, redesigned, improved sealing, bearing durability, better instructions, better packaging, and seeing the pedals and the news of the Power Meter pedals, it helps answer the question of why Wahoo has bought a pedal company. With the Power Meter pedal, it makes perfect sense. It integrates really nicely into an ecosystem of products with their computers and smart trainers giving power measurement out on the road, so a clear benefit there. And when asked why Speedplay, they simply said they really like Speedplay, they like the distinctive design and the benefits it offers over other pedals, which include dual-sided entry, so much easier to get into, more aero apparently, got low stack height, got great cornering clearance because they're smaller pedals than other pedals on the market. And you have all that adjustment in the cleat, 3-axis independent adjustment, which is a bike fitter's dream, makes a much easier setup and more float than other pedals. So if you have dodgy knees, these are definitely a good pedal to look at. And for all those people curious about Speedplay pedals in the past, but hesitant to take the leap, now with Wahoo owning them and much more widely available and better support, I think we'll see a lot more people jumping to Speedplay. But the big question remains is if you're a Shimano, Time or Look user, will you make the switch to Wahoo Speedplay pedals? Well, they have quite a few fans, and I am one of those. I have a kicker, I use an Element Bolt computer, so this might be enough to make me a Speedplay user again, but time will tell. So there we go then, the brand new Wahoo Speedplay pedals. Will you be making a switch from your current pedals to these? Well, let me know down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these. But that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all again next time.